Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today, we are going to see how to install the Kafka in the KRAFT mode with no Zookeeper with the Kafka latest version at this point of time, 3.4.0. Let's get to the action without further ado. Let me share. These are the key 10 steps is the end-to-end installation and evaluation, whether your Kafka cluster in the craft mode is working or not. First, 4 steps is the preliminary steps to make sure the required software is up to date, and then making sure the directories is the required directories is created, downloading the software from the Apache site, all these things. And then the main piece is the one from the 5th step to uh, till 7th step. This is the main actual fun will with actual configuration changes to run the Kafka cluster, set up the multi-node, 3 different multi-node cluster. And then second one is last piece is start the cluster in the different nodes and make sure whether the 3 nodes in the communicating, and then quorum is building. If one of the node goes down, all these things will take it. And the last piece is we can run that Kafka cluster in the different modes, whatever I told you, right? Interactive mode, and then in a backend mode, and then it's a production related scenarios. It should start automatically whenever the machine is up and running. Whenever it goes down, should take care automatically. That's a regular standard mode, I could say. For that one, we need to add the service, Kafka service in the demand process. It will take care automatically. That will also we will I will show you how to do that one. And then lastly, we can create a few topics, and then we'll see how it looks like. We can create a one box, and then we can see other box whether it's reflecting all these things. Okay, that's a very high level. I will share my notes, the link where you can download this file, the list of what are the steps I give. No need to worry, just focus on and then what I'm going to do. Okay. Let's get into this one. I have 3 nodes, starting with the 2.217, 3.333, and 4.46, 3 different EC2 instances machines. I'm going to do the work. What I do like at night, first I open the 3 terminals. Let me pull this down. I open the 3 terminals. I have the jump box to connect those instances. Let me connect this one here. Basically, what I'm doing, I'm connecting the jump box first, since I don't have access to directly access those in these instances, because those are not publicly exposed machines. That's why I am connecting to the jump box first, and then we'll connect from there to those respective individual machines. Now I'm connecting. First machine is to 17 Kafka 1. So next one piece here. 10. Now we are good. We connected to all the three respective individual EC instances, each boxes. Now we are going to follow the steps because no, I already did this m update and wget install and then curl also. I did this one. Check this now whatever operating system you are going to install on the machines. So based on that one, you need to use the apt-get or yum or curl or something else. These are the preliminary, download a package related stuff to download any software. Since it took a while, that's why I already downloaded this m update and then wget, and then just want to make sure you can do on your own. But here I am not doing since I already updated. And the next one is I'm getting into directly this one. Go to etc host on each box and pa sudo user as a root. Hmm. We need to add this three entries, what are the IP addresses you have. You need to add an etc host to resolve the communicate based on the Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3, from one node to other node. Mhm. Let me get into this one. Now we are good. If you want, you can make sure like everything is added as expected or not. You can do these things more time whether as expected or not. Okay, we are good. Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3 is with different IP addresses. Okay, let's get into the next one. We are going to add the Kafka user ID. User. Okay, we are good. Now let's get into the sudo Kafka. Since we just created the ID, do the SU. Let me get rid of here from Kafka to root. I'll change later. Now I'm doing the same thing. Okay. The same thing. All the boxes. Now we are good. If you see here, the thing is data directly get created with the root ID. Here also data directory get created with root ID in every place since we created with the root ID. We want to change that one to Kafka because in the data directory, if you see the all this with root ID, but no, we need to have it Kafka ID because Kafka is going to write some logs here. And if you can make different ways, like you can give the full permission with root ID, or maybe you can start the Kafka service with root ID. That time we will not see any issues. But we want to make sure to clean the neat process like right. We want to go with Kafka ID since we created the Kafka ID with all the Kafka related directories with Kafka ID. Okay. That's why we are going back. We are changing the ownership for data directory, all the places. What I'm going to do, change owner, capital is recursive mode, owner, group, and then respective directory data. Okay, if we give this one, see this one, data directory get changed. Okay. If you get into the inside, Kafka is changed. And then if you get into one level down, all the directories get changed. Okay, that's how it's going to be. And then one more thing we need to do, I want to change to OPT also. Okay, one at a time. Let me change this one too. Okay, it's already. And then next is MKDR OPT. Okay, this is one we're going to do. This is where I'm going to install the OPT is already there. Since we are using the MKDAR, will not be any issue under the directory. If Kafka is not there, it will get created automatically. If you want, you can see before hitting that one. CD OPT. If you see, so nothing is there in the OP directory. Okay. Either you can do from there also in order to come out. You can hit this one since we are giving the full path. Okay. Now we are clear here with the basic things. Sorry. We need to change this one to safer side if you want. Yeah, basically the configurations, all the things we are going to update here. We'll change this one too.
Okay.
Okay, we are good with if you see this one, these two things. Mainly, we are going to install and put some files there, and then these two data and then OPT, and then data and OPT. Okay, now we are good with till the three steps. What I'm going to do, now we will get into the CD of Kafka, all the places. Since we just created. Okay. If you say nothing is here, it should have the empty here. What I'm going to do, no, you can install by using the wget or no, whatever it is, like no, curl or something. Some reason, no, wget is not recognizing for me. Capital O. Capital O in the sense as it is. Maybe you can see the help. You'll say like if you see this one. If you want to give the any name, you can use the small O. You can give the capital O. Whatever the file it's coming from the remote, it will download directly as it is. That's why I need a as it is. Capital O. And then you can take the latest, greatest Apache download file from here. Or maybe you can go to the Apache download site. You can download the latest version if you want to, but 3.4.0 is the which very matured and then productionized craft Kafka cluster without Zookeeper. I think they announced recently. That's a standard one, I think. Yeah, it's started with the 2.8 Kafka version, but it was not matured. Now it's no, it's a very matured one. If you see this one, it's downloaded. Okay, Kafka. And then I'm going to do same thing here. I'll put this and here. I'll add this comment here in the think somehow. I didn't that like I added. Where is this one? Oh, it's there here. Okay, okay. Either you can use to download this one, wget, or you can use this one, whatever you like. Okay. Yeah, if you observe this one, I use the two same links. Then let me start this one, the third node. Okay. Okay. We're good with download, like if you see this one, everything looks good. We need to do the untar these things. Right now we all did these things with root. I just want to shift it to a little bit with Kafka, since the purpose is we want to do the things with Kafka ID. If you if you see the one more here, we are in the Kafka directory, right? OPT Kafka. We created some purpose. This one we need to use that one. Okay. Now, sorry. Okay. Now we are clear. Now I'm with Kafka in the other boxes. I had downloaded. I'm just doing the untar. It's nothing doing major here. Untarring the file. What are we downloaded? Okay. If you see this one, we already have the folder here. Okay. What I'm going to do, like, I will normally right now we already have the OPT Kafka. Okay. I'll put all the files here instead of getting into one further level directory, all these big names. And later also, if you want, you can delete these files. It's up to you. For that one, what I'm going to do, all the files moving to current directory here in the OPT Kafka. See this one, all the things came. And if you want, we can delete this one. Let me do same thing across all the boxes. Basically, you don't need anymore for this. The file we downloaded and then the one we extracted this direct. Or maybe you can move this directory as it is if you want to have the one more version. Like normally, if I am doing evaluation with different versions and different things, what I am going to do, right? If I make this one, let's say, this Kafka version is, Kafka 3.40. I will do this one, and if I want to download the previous version is 3.3.0 or 3.2.0, something like that. I can do those things. We have the different versions of the Kafka to evaluate what is the previous version and the current version. Is there any sorry, is there any changes as a major performance impacts, all these things we can evaluate with the different versions. Okay, right now we are good. We need, basically we don't need this one, and we don't need this folder. We just need all these things, respective config bin and then libs. Mainly our changes is going to be in the config. Okay, we are done the till this one, the whatever I told you, right? The basic preliminary steps. The actual fun begins here, right? If you see this one, if you get into the normally, if someone is a bit aware of the Kafka, they might know what is the config uh, files purpose. This where normal in the Zookeeper world, we see the Zookeeper properties. Still Zookeeper supports, if someone want to spin up the Zookeeper and then maintain the old style Kafka, still available. But the craft mode is from 2.8 to till the 3.4. It was in the preview kind of mode, I think. Um, I'm assuming, I'm not 100% sure. The craft mode from 3.4.0 is craft mode. It's a very mature and 100%. They're saying like now go for use for the Kafka cluster installation craft mode. This is where right now in olden days, these are the files for the producer, consumer, and then Zookeeper server properties, and then this is the Zookeeper server properties, and then bring the Kafka cluster as server properties, producer properties, log4j, and then consumer. All these things is here. But going forward with this one, where our intention of this to do the changes in the craft, right? To bring the Kafka cluster without Zookeeper, bring the Kafka cluster up and running. Our main changes is going to be server properties. Okay, that's where we are going to do some changes. Let's see what we are going to do. Craft. Okay, let me clear the screens so that we will not get confused. What we are talking. Let me get here. Let me get there. Now we are good. We are going to do some changes here. Let me make this little big. I'll shrink it later. Server properties. First one is the, if you see this one, we are here and then we open this server properties in each box. And then by default, if you see the process roles, broker and controller, okay. You want to use basically the purpose is, if you see this here, line number 24 here, the process dot roles is a broker and control. That means earlier we had a Zookeeper is separate and then quorum to build the quorum and then Zookeeper purpose, right? And then controlling the Kafka nodes is separate. Whereas I don't know whether you might be aware of the Elasticsearch or OpenSearch. We can share the roles on the each node. Similarly, they're coming with this concept here, like a broker and control. Controller is the controlling the cluster management related activities and communicating between the brokers, like each node, what's happening, who is part of the ISR, like right in sync replica, and who are the voters to elect the leader. All these things, these things. Broker helps, and then the controller is communicating all these activities, what's happening across the cluster, and both roles we need. And then each box has the same let me see, let me show you right over here also. You see this one, this box also, both roles is there. Okay, and if you want, you can segregate the roles, like right, if you don't want to be a part of a broker, not to be a part of elector, voter, like voter to elect the leader, like all these things. That's the main purpose. Okay, right now what I'm going to do, the roles maybe you can take a look at, and Apache documentation, and then someone wanted to test what is the difference between craft versus non-craft earlier version, and then how the Kafka is get implemented. All those things you can take a look, and if you are interested to understand how this is going to work. Right now, like in olden days in Zookeeper, we have the JK node 1 or JK node 2, something like that. The similarly, we need to add here. First one is a node 1. We are good. This is a node 2. We need to change this one to node 2. Okay. And then this one, what I'm going to do, let me change node 3. Okay. This is a node 3. Okay. Next change is we did this change. Okay. Node 1, node 2, node 3 in the respective boxes. You remember in the first starting step, we added in the etc host these files. The alias name is Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3. Okay. Those are the things plays a role here. Okay. These are the list of voters. Node 1. If you see here, let me put in the box so that, well, I'll give it a little explanation. Excuse me. This is the one commenting this guy. Then putting this one. Okay. What it does mean, one at Kafka 1. This is the guy actually. Let me put here also. Change this. Okay. What does that mean? This one is a node 1. Okay. This is the one. Okay. At Kafka 1. Node 1 at Kafka 1, and it's 9093. The Kafka manager will communicate. Basically, these are all the list of voters to participating in the election to choose the leader who want to be a leader out of these three brokers. And something goes wrong, now who can choose? Those are all the Zookeeper related concepts. They brought all the things into the here in the server.property file. We are good on this one. This is what it's going to happen. Controller.quorum.voters who need to be participating in the election to elect the leader. That's the one. This is happening here. Okay. The control.quorum.voters. And the next one is this one should be each individual. Okay. Instead of doing this one, I will put the directly copying, pasting. If you see this one, this is the place we need to change. Okay, 90 to 903. Here, so by default, normally localhost, if you're spinning up the single node, localhost will work. But here we already have some name actually. Okay. If you're running, if you're spinning up the three nodes and no localhost.902, if you're hitting with that broker, the IP port conflicts will happen. That's why we are having this Kafka one. If you are bringing the cluster and all the nodes, that should have the something like a unique name to communicate, right? That's the purpose. Otherwise, localhost.9092, and then this box also, second box also localhost 9092. No, that's conflict, right? When we are hitting the end endpoints, like we are calling the producer or consumer or something like that. Okay. This is the one we are doing. Just Kafka 1 and Kafka 1 for both ports. It's available on this first box. And then similarly, we need to, let me do we'll finish all the changes in the first box, and then we'll go to the second box. That's easy. It's up to you, one at a time. Or if you see here, advertisement listener is with a local host, but we don't want to be local host. And it's a 3-node cluster. Need to have this one. Then the last piece is, remember we created this directories in the step 2 or step 1. Yeah, step 4. If you see this one, we created this directories. We change the Kafka ID, all these things. This is where we going to store the Kafka data, Kafka logs, and Kafka terminology says people Kafka logs, and it's a Kafka logs. It's supposed to be actual data it is storing there. If you see this one, this by default temp file system. What we are going to do, we are changing that directory to what are we created so just now. Okay, that's it. That is the only change in the configuration. We need to do similar changes in the respective boxes. Okay, let me get into this one, this box. We done these changes. We will verify one more time. We done these changes. We have till here we done the controller, and then we want to do the changes as this. Let me, here is listener upper to upper to, I see. Kafka, Kafka to this advertisement we need to change. Next final one is we need to change the log directory. Okay, make sure you have the second cut to. Okay, data.kafka to logs, the one we created. Okay, that's it. And then last two boxes, we finish the quorum to quorum. We change the listeners. Okay. Next one is advertised. And then Last one is log, path, log path. Okay. Data Kafka 3 logs. Okay, we are good. And yeah, if you want, you can verify one more time. Um, we'll see each box whether it's in the right place or not. Roles, we are good. Node ID, we are good. Quorum, we are good. Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3. Okay. Listeners, we are good. And then banners, good. Advertisement. Okay. Next one is log. We need to check. Yeah, we are good. Awesome. Okay. Rest of other things like, right, if you see the parameters, all the things, no, it's based on your needs. You can change, keep changing all these parameters like log size, all these things, like all performance tuning related things. By default, if you see this, right, when you create the topic, by default number of participants, you need to always pass as a parameter. And then all these things, I think I'm sure you already know all these things. Let's verify in the second box. Just want to make sure everything looks good. Roles are good. Node ID is good. Quorum, build the quorum is 1, 2, 3. Okay. Slow. Listener. Okay, good. Banner is good. Reason logs. Kafka 2 logs. Awesome. Next is we are going to good. Kafka 1, 2, 3, good. Listeners 3, good. Banner good. Log direct. We are good. So okay. Now we are ready to hit the game. Like we have done all these changes in the actual file, and what we are going to do, we need to generate the one cluster ID. Okay, any box it doesn't mean, but we need to maintain that particular ID when we are starting the Kafka cluster in the different places. Okay. First of all, maybe if you're curious, instead of running this one, just make sure to run this one. If you see this one, it won't run because we run this one, right? So it says like no file because Our Kafka storage file is available where opt Kafka bin. That's where it's available. Now, if you run this one, you will get this some random ID. Hmm. Oh, it's my bad. I need to install the Java. That's why I told you sometime back earlier, right? Yum update. It took a while, I think, almost more than 5 minutes. I don't want to waste your time. That's why, you can do all this software updates, installation offline, and then so that I can save some time. Somehow it get finished. Now we should have Java. Yeah, awesome. Mm, okay, going back to Kafka ID again. Okay, just want to make sure when we are starting the server, should come with Kafka ID. Mhm. Okay, let me bring this back. Hmm. Where we are trying to generate the random ID, cluster ID basically. Let me try that same statement again. This is where the Kafka storage.sh available, where we install. You see this one, this is ID get generated, right? And if you see this one, if you run the same command to see each box has a different unique ID, it will generate. Okay. But we don't want these things. Okay. That's why we need to maintain one ID across all the three nodes because we are forming as a cluster along with help of a etc host to communicate. Okay, that's why we need to have only one ID. Let me put this one here. The change is random ID. Okay. What we are going to do, we are exporting this value into the one variable that will be there for a initial one. Okay. Value is generated. If you see this one, echo dollar Kafka cluster ID, you should see the same value. Okay. Basically, what I'm going to do, I will set this same value across the all the boxes. That's what I'm going to do here. If you see this one, this is the random ID we get generated. And then this one is the cluster ID. If you see here, since no, we didn't generate anything in set, it says the empty. For that one, what I'm going to do, export. Mm, of cluster ID equal to, I will copy this value. I'll set this value here. Similarly, I will set the same thing, export setting the value here in the box 3. Now you can see cluster ID is same across the boxes. Excuse me. Sorry. See, all the boxes, we have the similar cluster ID. We are good. Now, we done this one. Yeah, different way, I think. Now, I normally, instead of copying, I do this way sometimes. Yeah. When we are doing the documentation, we get some ideas. When we are implementing, we'll go something. That's fine. That's a simple step. Basically, we need to make sure the same cluster ID or a unique random generator ID, you should have no all the nodes. You should have the same value to refer this Kafka cluster while starting. Okay, that's why it will build the things. The next one, next piece is, this is the one of the key thing. We have the cluster Kafka cluster ID. And then if you see one thing, we going to do what we are going to do here. I will show you something. Data Kafka, this is where we have the logs directory, correct? And then this is the Kafka 1 directory. I mean Kafka first node. If you see this one, we don't have anything right here. When you run this one, it will generate the meta properties file. That's the key one. It will play the role. Okay. When I'm running this one, last command before bringing the server up and running, see the whatever the storage we defined, actually what happens here, in the server.property file, we defined the log directory. Okay, if you remember this one, the log directory we mentioned in a server.property file, it will go to, basically it will come here, this directory, it will make sure to format in the all the boxes. We need to run the same command in all the boxes. Once we run this one, it will generate some metadata, meta.property file. No, that's where you can see the cluster ID, node ID, all those things. I will show you just after running this one. Okay, this format done. If you see this one, if we get this one, that means it's a success kind of thing. It's formatted. I'm going to do the same thing here. What happened? Formatting logs with metadata. Uh, Basically here I copied formatting the last successful statement. That's why this issue. Other than nothing. Okay. Now you can see this one. This is done. This is done. All the things. If you see whatever I want to show you here, before running this command, the folder is empty. Now you can see metadata.properties. This is the one I want to show you. The two dot logs here. Okay. Here also it gets generated. If you see this one, just now it gets generated. 1259, 1258. Okay. So this is the three logs. We are good. Okay. If you see this file, I think if you are a bit aware of the Kafka internals, how it's going to work. See this guy, node 1. This guy, node 1. Interestingly, if you see whatever we set the cluster ID is the same thing here. Observe this one. Okay, this is the one, it will play role. And then here, see, the cluster ID is the same, and then node ID is 3 here. If you have the 5 node or a 7 node or how many nodes cluster you want, you can do that setup with server.property file accordingly. And then the quorum also, no, you need to add like, no, if you don't want to be participate, let's take a 10 node cluster is there. You don't want to be participate 10 nodes in the quorum building, like in a consensus, like a Zookeeper old style. The similar way, you need to whatever, like out of 10 nodes, you might want to have the roles like a broker and then controller, 5 nodes, and rest are all like control type. Out of 5, you can decide like who want to be participating to elect the leader. All those things. I think those are all internals. Maybe you can check it. Documentation, how it's all depends on based on your needs. Having the lot of people to participate also sometimes, right? The controller will get a burden like communicating all the things. Okay, the fair ideals in. So that's a bad enough. Okay, the only thing is we need to have the good amount of machines like CPU and then memory and then storage, where customers or application team members not to see any issues in terms of the latency while producing the data, while consuming the data. That's the main thing. The rest of other things like doesn't matter, like how many, matter in the sense like parallelism purpose. You need to consider the how many partitions you need is a significant amount of partitions. And again, having the too many partitions also issue, like, right, unnecessarily, those are the things like number of threads can allow all those things. The property file, server property file parameters will take care. Rest of other files also we have a little bit here and there based on the situation. We need to tune the parameters and the needs. Okay. Coming back to now, we are good. Now we can start in different ways, like properties, um, this way, like this is like command mode, we call it command mode. If you run this way, when you shut down the system, we can't do any other activities. Let's take a best example here. I'm starting here. Okay, it's started. Okay, completed connection, node 3, all these things is up and running. But if you want to check something whether it's running or not, I can't see anything, right? That's why better to stop it. If you want to check anything, better you can, if you see something better generated here. Okay. All these things, cluster ID, all these things. What I do normally, first, I can run in the daemon mode. It will run in the background. And then once this is success, then I will set up the last part, like, setting up in the, this is basically, I'm sure you might be aware of the no hop or background, right? This type of style to submit the job in the background. You get the command prompt, and then you can see whether it's Kafka is running or not. See, the Kafka is running on this Kafka.properties. Whatever we have opt config Kafka KRAFT server properties. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same thing. Sorry. It's a start. It's a start. If you see here, it's running. Okay, it's running. No issues. All the places. Sometimes if it is running and it's failing or something is happening, make sure, I forgot to tell you one thing. If these three IPs are communicating each other or not, that's the main thing. Let's ping from 1 to 2 and 3, whether it's I think this is now it's running clean, no issues. I'm hypothetically, if you run into some issues, I need to do the last step, how to set up this service before going there. I'll show you. I'm pinging from box 1 to box 2. Okay. Let's take 5 times. Awesome. I'm able to ping 0 packet loss. That's why I think this box can talk to this guy. Okay. And then box 3 also able to ping actually. I think are all able to connect. Awesome. Okay. Now what we are going to do, I will run the sample simple command, whether it's no, working or not as expected. I'll come to the step number 9 and 10. Okay. Since it's up and running, all are we are assuming all are in the quorum and the cluster. It's up and running. I just want to see a few things. Okay. If you see here, we just see. Sorry. We were just trying to connect all the brokers. This is where we did the setup like Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3 on the port 9092 in the listener, right? That's where it's playing a role here. I'm just checking the what version we installed. It's a 3.4.0 we installed. It is showing, okay? And then similarly, I can test maybe from now onwards. Let me take horizontally. It will be good. Checking the Kafka version. I'm hitting box 2. Okay, we see the box 2 here, 3.4. Now we are good. Okay, 3.4, 3.4. And let's check one more thing. Is there any topics there? Just to spin up, it should show some blank value. Okay. If you see this one blank, there is no topics at this point of time. Box 2 also same thing. Box 3 also same thing. Okay. Let's do simple by default. This means we are not specifying any partitions or replication of these things. As for the default action, it will create. Okay. I just created in the first box, created topic name called test sj. Okay. I'm going to see the list here. Okay. Box 3. It should show here, right? Test sj. Awesome. I'm going to the list again here. Okay. I think we are good basically. It's up and running. Our target is if I shut down this box or maybe due to some reasons, something happened, it's down, right? We need to manually start the Kafka cluster or whatever we started. Okay. We don't want to do that one. Whenever it happens, no, it should bring the cluster automatically. For that one, what we have to do, we need to, I'm going back to the root ID. Where we need to do etc systemd system, right? We need to add the Kafka service here. I'm just copying this one. I think it's a fair self-explanatory stuff, all these things. Maybe you can take a look. And then it's good enough. Or just adding. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. And then, yeah. We are good in all the boxes. We added the Kafka service. And once we add this file, we need to load the daemon process. Since it's root, it's we don't need a sudo. If you're doing these things, you can use the sudo command. You're doing the things without root ID. You can do the system sudo. Okay, it's loaded. It's loaded. It's loaded. Awesome. Okay. Let me stop whatever we did. What do you call Kafka? We started some time back, right? With demand mode, background mode. Let me kill this one first. Okay. Yeah, good. If you run this one, it should show blank. Okay. That got deleted. Now we are good. I think yeah. Here also should not show anything. Okay. We are good. Box 2. Next one is also not show here anything. Okay, awesome. Next. We will. It's nothing. It's not running. What I'm going to do. Start. Yeah, it started. If you see the status now, it's up and running. Awesome. Okay. Next one is here. System CTL. You want to see the status first. Status. Kafka. It's not running. What I'm going to do. Start. Okay. Now, if you see the status, it's up and running. Okay. Awesome. Now, last box is system CTL status not running. I'm going to start. Now you can see the status. Awesome. Right? It's up and running, active, up and running. This is the one I'm talking. 3 seconds ago. 3 seconds ago, active running. This one. Okay. Now we are clear. I think now our cluster is up and running. We check one more time, final check, like right, whatever we just checked earlier. These are all we tried, like right, system CTL, demand load, all the things. Okay, everything looks good. It's up and running. If you want, you can reboot the box and then reconnect. It will work. Okay. And then one final thing, if you want to, we can create one more topic called we can make let's take, I'm creating here in the second box what I'm creating. Topic SJ, replication factor 3 and partition, 10 partitions. This is where we mentioned here 10 partitions and replication factor 3. I'm going to run this one. Okay. Now it's created. Now you can see the list. You can see the list, right? Two topics should be there. First one created sometime back and then just now created this one. Awesome. Okay. Similarly, we should have here. I think, yeah, it's also nothing fancy here. Sorry. The same command, if you run the multiple boxes, you should have something. That's what I think. this one. All the boxes have that. Now it's everything is in the quorum. And then if you want to do further anything, understanding how the logs data is capturing, go to the any log or something, respective boxes, and then see or the partitions. So you see, if you this first, you remember test SJ we created with the default settings with the zero partitions in the sense by default one partition and then one replicate. This is where that's why you see the zero. Whereas for the R3 P10 in the sense replication factor 3 and then 10 partitions. If you see this one starting with 0, you see till 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the last one. We have the each partition has a separate log directory. Okay. And then each partition has a 3 replicas like right R3 we mentioned. Each partition will get replicated in the 3 boxes in 3 places to high availability purpose. Okay. Having said that one, I think we covered pretty much. Maybe yeah. One thing, to check. I miss one check. I think when at the end of the step, we need to enable the service and then make sure the last validation is reboot the missions and then it's working or not. Okay, that's a last step. No, we miss it. I'm going to enable the service, whatever Kafka service we just did. And all the boxes. Okay, if you enable the first time, you can see this one. This is the output will get symbolic symlink will get created. Sorry, I think I copied this one. Let me. I'm doing the root ID, that's why I'm using directly systemctl. If you're doing with some other ID which has a password for you, you can use the sudo. Okay, now we are good. Let's reboot the missions. All the missions are one mission at a time. Let me reboot all the missions from the front end. Okay, I rebooted. I might have lost the connection. Yes, I lost the connection. After rebooting, maybe give a few seconds and then we'll back. Six. Just give me a minute. Either we'll get the output timeout or maybe it will get connect, accept the SSH connection. Connection is refused here. Here we are able to connect. Here we are able to connect. Let me retry one more time. Okay, now we are connected. Now, only thing is you need to see whether it's a system for the Kafka is up and running. Awesome. See, it's active 35 seconds ago. We can check the same thing. What is that? Yeah, all the boxes. Awesome. This is what I just want to show you. The purpose of the last couple of steps is the service should start automatically. Yeah, when the system reboot or system down, something like that. That's a pretty much I want to show you in the first place. I think this very crucial for the production systems.
Thank you for watching.